War Eagle, and welcome to the War Eagle wrap up part of the Coaching Crew Show. I am your host, Charlie Krause, and we're going to preview the Arkansas game this weekend. Yeah, I know the irony here. It's called wrap up in the show, but we're going to actually preview something that hasn't happened yet. I get it. So thank you for noticing as well. But yeah, we're good. Anyway, we're going to preview the Arkansas game. It's an 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff, which is a noon kickoff, which normally doesn't go well for the history of Auburn. Yes, we've had some bright spots at that slot before, but anybody who's been an Auburn fan for at least a decade knows the dreaded 12 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff slot, 11 a.m. Central Time slot, and what it's for. Here's my first takeaway from Coach Harsin's press conference. And I 10.0 love this. Okay. Last week, nobody earned the title player of the game. Too many coaches these days from too many other leagues, Georgia Tech, give out game balls when you have losses. Okay, if it was a close loss to was a team that's supposed to be the number one team in the nation and you do things like cover the spread, maybe you could sell me on a game ball. But 34-10, no, not happening. Okay. Love how no one earned the game ball last week. That sends a message hard. We're not rec league soccer. Nobody brought orange slices. Nobody's getting a trophy at the end of this game. So there's that. That's a huge takeaway. Also, this is going to be old school coach versus old school mentality. So if you don't like physical football, this ain't going to be for you. I'm afraid to see how many yellow flags might fly just because of the physicality of the team, not because of something dirty. Just I think the referees have to be forced into this world of throwing the flag, and that makes me a little bit nervous what's coming our way. But it's going to be – and Harsin said it himself. He expects Arkansas, and he describes Arkansas as tough, physical, and aggressive. Well, guess what? That's what he expects his guys to be, tough, physical, and aggressive. So in theory, it's strength versus strength. And he wants to keep improving on doing the little things right, which plays into everything I've ever said in my life. Because you focus on the little things, the big things take care of themselves. Well, that's his strategy as well. And I don't mean to be sounding like I'm spending out all sunshine and rainbows his direction, but at the end of the day, I agree with his type of philosophy. He's hard-nosed to the ground, meat and potatoes only, because I don't eat my vegetables either, of what the team should do and what it needs to do. And he gives it to you straight. And people might ask him some fun questions in between, but he's just going to give you the hard-line answer. And sometimes, you know what, that's good to hear. And, some people might be wanting a Steve Spurrier-esque like quote from you're just never going to get that. Just know that. You're just never going to get that. He's going to have his guys prepared as best as possible to make plays as most as possible and the situations to which they best he thinks can be provided their each individual strength as to where the game lies. Also, yes, they want to be a downhill team, but at the end of the day, they've thrown 91 passes in 2 SEC games versus only 58 runs. How do you solve that? Well, his answer was simple. You stop losing. You get out early, okay? So that's going to be a main thing to look for is if Auburn's trying to establish the run and not with just Tank, but with all 3 primary backs and be a 3-headed dragon, if you will, how's the score look at the end of the first quarter versus the number of runs? How's the score look at halftime versus the number of runs? And so on and so forth. You have to maintain a close ball game in order to run the ball. So it's not just, coach, you say you want to run, but you're throwing it 91 times compared to 58. Well, that's also because of the score on the board. And that takes both sides of the ball, where in this day and age, the advantage is with offenses. It just is. So defenses, players are supposed to make plays and are expected to make plays. But at the end of the day, the advantage is with the offense. So sometimes one person's skill and the rule of the game just puts them in a more advantageous position than the defender. And that's what's happened to Auburn at times. Maybe you can say it's a scheme thing, but at the end of the day, athlete making play on other athlete sometimes gives the advantage to the offensive side. And you have to agree with that statement. As far as injuries are concerned, I say this very cautiously. If you look at this weekend's depth chart, Owen Popo is listed on the depth chart in the starting role. Also, throughout the press conference, Coach Harsin did not mention any major injuries were being held out. So that makes you believe cautiously Owen is back in the starting lineup, and I think that's going to help the defense big time. So how I think this game's going to play out, assuming that Auburn actually shows up and is awake, and when they're wearing their all whites, which always look good, by the way, and able to play and compete before halftime, which we all know how that conversation's been in the past. This could either be a shootout with all on the ground, or it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I know Arkansas is -4.5, and this might be the homer in me, but you know what? You're an Auburn fan because you're watching this video, so you're probably going to like what I say. I do like Auburn to cover the 4.5, and you know what? Let's go ahead and put money line on it as well. It might be something like a 28-24 victory. I don't think it's going to be like the Ole Miss game where it's going to be 52-51, but I could be wrong about that. I think Arkansas is going to make some plays as well, and I think it's going to be smash mouth versus smash mouth. And even though this continues to be an 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff, this is not the Arkansas from 2 years ago where you were guaranteed to have that 38-3 victory type of scenario. So we'll see. I'll be back at the end of the game for a wrap-up and post-game. If you want, at Coach Crew Show, tweet me during the game and for your wrap-up questions, and I'll try to include them. We'll go from there. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Coach and Crew Show on YouTube, and you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all the Instagrams. We're on a bunch of different sites that I try to learn how to use correctly, but we'll see. Yeah. And our website, coachandcrewshow.com, so you can see my own self-created power rankings and look at how I obsess over the numbers and where teams lie and how offensive rank. So please give us some follows and supports. If you like us, subscribe to us and share with your friends, and then put it in the comments section as well. We'll glad to give you some feedback as well. Thanks for the listen. War Eagle. Oh, and today was Hay Day. So, hey,